What's up, you guys? How are you? Happy Tuesday. So I wasn't on here for a couple days and I just got done working out, so I look like a mess, but I had to chat with you guys about this. So, first of all, happy almost 4th of July. Hope you guys had a great weekend. We spent the weekend celebrating Braden's birthday, which is crazy because I robbed the cradle and he's only 36 and I'm 42 and a half. And yeah. All right, you guys. So what do I want to talk about today? So Flow Launch, the first module drops in 2 days, and there's so many of you that I've been chatting with that you're kind of on the fence and you're like, gosh, I don't know, and the same thing, right? And so I hear this story a lot, so I wanted to talk to you guys about this because it was a struggle that I dealt with and a lot of my clients have dealt with, and I've seen a lot of transformation in. So here was my story or my thing back in the day. So I spent my entire life basically, hi Cal, restricting my food, right? Like I was counting calories, I was counting macros, I was seeing how little I could eat. Like I did the gamut of restricting when it came to food. And I was, we have multiple businesses and I was running a direct sales company and I'm still doing it, but I was running it pretty hard a couple years ago. And I was like, gosh, I can't create abundance, right? And as I got into my story of my own journey with food, I started to realize the parallels that I had between money and food, of the idea that I was living in lack. I was literally creating lack and like, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't have this, you can't have that, you can't have any fun, you can't, right? And then on the other side, I was like, I'm gonna go inspire people to be amazing and change their lives and da-da-da. And that was a great thought, but my core energy was lack and it was scarcity and it was unworthiness, right? Like when we started this, you guys, I was like, I don't have a worthiness wound. Yeah, I did. You do too, probably. Most of us do. So this came up because I was talking to one of my clients and we were talking about the beta group, and she was like, I was really hesitant to do the beta group because I've let myself down so many times in the past and nothing ever works for me, and I didn't really think I had the money, and I didn't have a job, and right? She was like, I had every excuse in the book why it wasn't worth me investing in myself to do that program, right? And I said, yeah, I totally get that. And she said, she literally, I remember her saying to me, she was like, well, it's probably cheaper than therapy, so I think I should do it, right? And so we got done, and she said to me, she said, it was crazy how much I thought I was just going to get into this program just to talk about food and my body and that struggle. And she said, I had no idea that was going to change literally everything else in my life, because all of those stories are intertwined, right? And so her story about not spending money on herself and not investing in herself and not making herself a priority, it was the same story she was doing with food, right? She wasn't making food a priority in her life, and she wasn't making nourishing herself a priority. And she just wasn't she wasn't feeling worth it. She wasn't thinking she was enough. She wasn't, she was in that place of lack and scarcity where it was like, well, why do I don't deserve to invest in myself. I don't deserve to put myself first. I don't deserve to whatever. And she said, when she got done, she's like, I realized that when I started to let those money beliefs shed and I started to find freedom, that I was able to truly feel abundant without anything in my money story changing, right? And so we talked about it. I was like, abundance is an energy, and I did not get that when I started either, so I'll tell you guys that in a minute. But she said, I realized that abundance is an energy, and she's like, I was living in so much control and so much fear that it was impossible for me to see why I couldn't create abundance and why I couldn't feel happy and why I couldn't let go of all this stuff. And so that's the thing I want you guys to understand, is that so many of your stories, like all of them, are intertwined, right? Like most of us don't just have one part of life super figured out and then the other part isn't, right? And so for me, when I started, I literally remember being like, telling my sister coach, I was like, I've got to get out of lack. I've got to get out of the mindset. I've got to get out of lack. I've got to get out of scarcity. And she literally was like, for the love, stop saying scarcity, right? And I was like, oh, touche, right? So focus on what you want. So if you want to shift and you want to change and you want to believe in yourself and you want to find your worth, then you have to do something about it, okay? So if you're on the fence about this program, because you're not sure about the money, if you're not sure that you can invest $300 in yourself, first of all, you are worth so much more than that. So you need to know that. But if you're not worth $300 to yourself and you've had this struggle and you've been in this struggle with food and you've been in this struggle with your body and you've been unhappy, then I want you to think about what it's actually costing you. Okay. Because it's costing you way more than $300, right? Like it's costing you your joy. It's costing you your acceptance of yourself. It's costing you relationships with your family. It's costing you probably how you show up for your kids. Like, it's costing you way more than you could ever put a dollar sign on. Okay, so I really want you to think about that. If you're on the edge of that, what you're actually, like, what you're losing and what's costing you so much more than you're going to gain in 6 weeks and investing $300 on yourself. So I wanted to share that with you guys. Thanks, lady. And I wanted to kind of talk to you about what happened for me. So once I released control of having to control my food and having to control everything else, I realized that when financial stress came up in my life, I turned to food as the thing that I could stress about, right? Because I'd done that for so long that I was like, well, I'll just stress about food because I know how to do that. And then I feel like I have control of something, right? I was creating certainty, and I've talked about this before, but I was creating certainty by using food when I was stressed out about money, right? And so what we need to understand is that when we release that, right? And so what it then made me do too was realize, like, the stuff that I needed to actually face in my life with abundance, and actually, like, see that for what it was and not mask it with something else, right? So what I want you guys to understand is that as you make these shifts, everything is going to change. Okay, so if you feel stuck, if you feel like everything in your life is just not where it needs to be, you've really got to look at what's going on deep inside of you, and what are those underlying beliefs around money, around food, around relationships, around parenthood, around all of that stuff. And as one shifts, the other will shift, right? And that's what I think the coolest thing is, that you're going to heal in 6 months of doing flow and finding freedom from food and finding freedom from your body and finding your confidence and finding abundance, that it's going to be so incredible and so different and something you've never done. And I posted this Sunday, like, you've never done anything like this, and it will change your life. So for those of you on the fence, you've got a couple days. I'm going to leave registration open for a few days over, just because it's holiday and all that good stuff. But if you're on the fence and you're wondering, like, is it worth investing $300 in yourself? The answer is yes. So go sign up. Don't think about it. If you need a payment option, DM me, right? I'm totally here to help you if you need to do that. I've been there. So go sign up, get yourself going. I don't want to see you stay stuck. I want to see you change those stories. I want to see you invest in yourself, and I want to see you put yourself first. So hope you are having an awesome, awesome Tuesday, and I will catch you guys tomorrow. Have a great night, guys.